dealing with his sickness, it has been encouraging to them, your love and your generosity of your love. Larry Dallas Pierce, 67, of St. Louis, Missouri, went to be with the Lord on July the 23rd, 2026, at the age of 67. He was born on March the 20th, 1959, in St. Louis, Missouri, to his loving parents, and he was baptized at a very early age. He fought like a warrior, and while many knew him as a hero, his family knew him as the ultimate protector. Anybody have a husband or a dad like that? The ultimate protector. Larry touched the lives of everyone who had the honor of knowing him. He never met a stranger, and he had a heart of gold and was always just a phone call away, willing to lend a hand or a listening ear. His kindness and his love for his family and those around him, his neighbors and his friends, knew no boundaries. He had many professions in his life, and his family traveled a lot. He started out as kind of a kid with a paper route in North Y, mowed grass, tore things apart, and never put them back together to see how they operate. That sounds pretty typical. My cousin took a clock apart for his teacher one night, took the clock home and took it away to the house, tore it apart, put it back together, and it ran backwards for the rest of his life. So it sounds a little bit about what Larry might have been like in his younger days. And that was probably pretty aggravating to his dad. Well, that's what dads are for, right? Put things back together again. And I'm sure Larry has done that for each of us. That's what my dad does, puts me back together again. My wife does the same thing. And I'm sure you have put things back together again on his behalf. Then he moved on to becoming an airport security police officer in Arizona, working in a factory in Phoenix, Arizona, making airplane parts, working for the city of Phoenix as a city maintenance worker, worked for his dad sweeping parking lots. I worked for my dad for a little while. I was a ceramic engineer, dishwasher. It paid very much less than a ceramic engineer. I understand working for your dad, and I'm sure he had a lot of similarities with that. Industrial cleaning for Bob Jones, various jobs at the Ozark Extravaganza for George Carney, mechanic and pumping gas for Bob Whitson's truck stop. And no matter what hour of the day, he would always answer the call for help. He wore the badge of a police officer with the Arizona Security, Gerald Police Department, Kimswick Police Department, and he was also a volunteer for the Rawa Rural Fire Protection District, which is here today to pay honor to him. He drove a dump truck, removed bunkers from Fort Leonard Wood, and also co-owned and operated houses on Haunted Hill in Imperial, Missouri, and owned and operated Quebec Painting and Remodeling for 30 years. My, oh my, what a history. He's been through a lot and seen a lot. And what many things he would have and stories I'm sure he would tell. Some of his happiest moments were spent during the simple things he loved doing the most. Whether he's at a lake with a fishing pole in his hand, camping, or sitting around a campfire roasting hot dogs and marshmallows, he was happiest when he was surrounded by the people that he loved, his family and closest of friends. Of course, he never turned down a barbecue cookout or an opportunity to spend time with his family, making memories that will be treasured forever and never lost. In his last couple of years, one of his favorite things was to dance with his mother-in-law, Linda, to some good old country songs. His beloved dog, Buttercup, was more than just a pet. His loyal sidekick, which went with him everywhere, and he found joy in life's little moments. And those are the memories that the family will hold on to for the rest of their life. He lives behind his loving wife, Brenda, of 41 years. He was the proud and loving father of two daughters, Kayla of St. Louis and Rebecca, and their husbands of Fenton, Missouri, with whom he lived his life for. He lives behind 5 treasured grandchildren, Wyatt, Aurora, Jackson, Amelia, Willow. His loving siblings, Walter, Dallas and his wife Shannon, Mike, Pierce of Rolla, and Dennis Durbin of Licking, Missouri, and Debbie Squires of Rolla. Larry was preceded in death by his parents, 2 sisters, and 1 brother and nephew. All what a treasured memory. You see, it's impossible to explain his life in two pages, but what we hold is his life. And the grave cannot take that away from us. We hold that and treasure it. This morning, or this afternoon, several of the children may be coming and speaking this morning, and we invite them to. Rebecca, if you would like to come and speak this morning or this afternoon, we know you'd be honored. You'd be honored to have you speak.
When I close my eyes, I'm back on the field of an old elementary school. There's a man smiling ear to ear as he watches his 2 little girls ride their bikes without training wheels. He's in faded blue jeans, cowboy boots that never leave his feet, a plaid pearl snap, and a jacket that reads Magnum Security on the back. On Sundays, he trades out his faded blue jeans for his nicest pair of Wranglers and his white pearl snap, with an eagle above each pocket, his favorite. His 2 little girls and the woman he loves all pile in his red GMC truck and head off to church. In the summer, once those same faded blue jeans have seen better days, he'll make them into jorts. He'll prop up a plastic chair in his tin pool. He's in a white V-neck t-shirt, if you know, you know, and jorts with a Natty Light in one hand and an Edgefield Light 100 in the other. He watches as his 2 little girls giggle as they try catching frogs. The sound of their laughter and Dwight Yoakam on the radio makes that man smile. That man is my dad, and that was just a little glimpse into my childhood. I could fill an entire book with so many more memories, but we only have so much time today. And just like my dad and my entire family, I could talk your ear off, especially when it comes to my dad. Growing up, my dad and I butted heads a lot, probably because we were so much alike, sometimes a little too much alike, both stubborn and hard-headed. But then I moved out and I realized although we had our disagreements, he never let me go to bed without a hug and an I love you. He always made sure we knew how much he loved us. It's now something my kids don't go a day without hearing. While he was always just a phone call away, I now had to go to bed every night without one of those awkward one-arm side hugs he'd always give. I think that was my first heartbreak. It was shortly after that I realized just how much I needed my dad. My dad was a husband, grandpa, brother, uncle, son, cousin, friend, etc. But to Kayla and I, he had the very best title, our dad. We loved watching all kinds of horror movies, Supernatural, and the Andy Griffith Show with him. Artists like AC/DC and Dwight Yoakam were the soundtrack to our childhood. He'd occasionally surprise us after school and take us to the gas station. He'd scrape up whatever change he had to get us a Cosmic Brownie and a Pepsi, but that was typical of my dad. He'd give you the shirt off his back, but you already knew that. I'd like to end by making a promise to my dad. Dad, although I'm struggling to understand how God could possibly need you more than I do, I promise to continue to walk by faith just as you always have. I promise to show up for the ones I love just as you always have. I promise to be kind and compassionate to every person I meet just as you always have. But most importantly, I promise to work just as hard as you always have to continue to make you proud. I love you, Dad, until we meet again.
Would anyone else in the family like to speak? Or to anyone in the crowd today, they want to offer an opportunity. If anyone wants to say anything for a moment, go ahead. You can come up here if you like, or you can stand there. It's up to you.
I was just recently enrolled in the family 4 years ago. I met Larry through my wife, through Brenda. But there's one thing that Larry truly enjoyed, and it actually would bring him out of the dementia problem that he had just for a slight bit of time. And that was for him to come to our house and listen to my wife and I sing. It was a total change. When they mentioned that they were coming to our house, you'd have to catch Larry because he was ready. He wanted to go to the door. Because the one thing that he loved was country music. In our house, it's as loud as a neighbor can take it. And it would bring light back into his eyes, and he would actually dance on our pool deck with Linda and Brenda. And he enjoyed it immensely. And I truly am blessed just for knowing him and being able just to use my voice and my wife to use her voice to bring comfort to Larry in his last few days. Because my wife would actually go to the hospital, take her guitar, sing to him in the hospital. He didn't want her to leave. Every time she'd go to leave, one more, no, one more. So she would have to sing one more. But it was a blessing just to see his eyes light up when we did this for him. And I just wanted to say thank you, and I love you, and I'm glad to be a part of it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? Yes.
I remember when me and Larry years ago, when we worked the House of the Haunted Hill in security. And that was really a good time with him. We had really fun times. I remember the one thing, a lot of times when we'd come up to the end of the haunted house or something, there's always a guy out there with a chainsaw chasing the black people on out the building. Once you start that sucker up, man, me and Larry just crack up so bad. It's like, hey, Larry, check those black guys out, man. Their teeth are turning as white as a ghost. And we just got the biggest kick out of that. And I'm like, man, he's something else. But I had a great time with Larry at the haunted house. We had some really good times. Larry, me, Bob Strayhorn, which is a real good friend of Larry's. Bob Strayhorn's been having some medical issues of himself. Otherwise, he'd be here for sure. Bob was real close to Larry. And Larry knows in his spirit now that Bob is here with him still. He always will be here. home with my stepson, Brian, who I miss very much, and my parents as well. And when he's up there in heaven, I'm sure he'll say hello to everybody for me, especially Brian, and everybody else. And we'll miss you, buddy. Definitely gonna miss you.
Anyone else? We'll have another song.
A farmer and a teacher, a hooker and a preacher, riding on a midnight bus bound for Mexico. One was headed for vacation, one for higher education, and two of them were searching for lost souls. That driver never ever saw the stop sign, and 18-wheelers can't stop on a dime. There are 3 wooden crosses on the right side of the highway. Why there's not 4 of them, heaven only knows. I guess it's not what you take when you leave this world behind you. It's what you leave behind you when you go. That farmer left to harvest a home and 80 acres, the faith and love for growing things in his young son's heart. And that teacher left her wisdom in the minds of lots of children, and did her best to give them all a better start. And that preacher whispered, can't you see the promised land, as he laid his blood-stained Bible in that hooker's hand. And there are 3 wooden crosses on the right side of the highway. Why there's not 4 of them, heaven only knows. I guess it's not what you take when you leave this world behind you. It's what you leave behind you when you go. That's the story that our preacher told last Sunday, as he held that blood-stained Bible up for all of us to see. He said, bless the farmer and the teacher and the preacher who gave this Bible to my mama, who read it to me. There are 3 wooden crosses on the right side of the highway. Why there's not 4 of them, now I guess we know. It's not what you take when you leave this world behind you. It's what you leave behind you when you go. There are 3 wooden crosses on the right side of the highway.
As I was discussing Larry's life with his family and recollecting some memories, and I want to remind everyone that each of us are designed by God. Special, individual. But God breathed life into all of us and gave that life to us. And his life, Larry's life, was about pouring himself into others. He answered the call to serve, serving with a badge, a pager, or serving a neighbor Didn't matter what time or where. If you needed help, his life was about caring for others. If you had a need and he had it, it was yours. What a special way to live a life. He volunteered with the Raleigh Rural Fire Protection District, and at that time, the fire departments were just forming. Bigger cities had fire departments, but the rural area were protected by the cities, and it would take just several long minutes for them to get to help you. And it was very disorganized before the 80s of helping in the rural area. And to get a rural fire department established, especially the Raleigh Rural one, which covers much of the Raleigh Public School District, is quite an effort. And him and Bruce Southard and many others worked together hand in hand to ensure that a fire department would be in the area to help and provide for the need. You see, not everybody can see a need. We all have needs, but it's hard to see the needs of others. And it takes a special person to see the needs of those around you and to help them with those needs. He showed up and taught us along the way how to live life to the fullest. And as I read his obituary this morning and last night, I noticed that there was something in the obituary that's not in some others. I thought, well, and it wasn't odd at all. It just wasn't anything odd about it. It's just that there were some things in the obituary that you might find there. For example, that it didn't say how much money he had in the bank. It didn't say how many cattle he had on the rolling hills of his acreage. It didn't say how many cars he had in the parking lot. It didn't even say how many awards that he had received, but to Larry, that wouldn't have mattered at all. See, it wasn't about money. Those things get you very little in life. But what he had was more than enough. As a matter of fact, the Bible speaks to that about God will give us an abundance, the abundance of life, a full life lived. But then there was a note in the obituary that caught my attention that said, well, we don't need all those other things. What this little statement was in there. Some of his happiest moments were spent doing the simple things he loved the most. Now there's the value that we find in our lives, in his life, and Brenda's life, the daughters' lives, the grandkids' lives. I'm a pappy as well. I am the pappy of 4 grandchildren. I have 2 3-year-old boys and 2 1-year-old girls, and they take every bit of strength out of me when they're in my house. But as I've reflected on my experience with my grandfather, I want to be the grandfather that my grandfather was to me. And I want to be the dad that my dad was to me. And from what you said, Rebecca, was straight on, very good. It reflected his life of the happiness that he had. You see, he loved the simpler things of a fishing pole, a campfire with some chairs, or maybe a sawed-off log, or maybe just an old stump to sit on and shoot the breeze with one another and probably tell a few stories, a hot dog and a roasting stick and Buttercup. His dog would probably be somewhere nearby. I had to ask, where did the name Buttercup come from? And Buttercup, it was Buttercup because he looked like he had the coloring of a Reese's peanut butter cup. So that's how Buttercup. I thought, well, that's an odd name. So I had to ask. But I can imagine sitting around that campfire, as we did in my young age, and telling the biggest story possible and see who could fall off the stump first laughing. All the stories that could be told around a campfire that probably shouldn't be and said anywhere else, but that's what families are for. Larry was rich in the things most people didn't even know how to do. Love one another and listen to one another and be there for them when they're down. That's a life well lived. That's a blessed life. He invested in his marriage of 41 years with Brenda. What a treasured life. What a caregiver to give up, not to give up, but to provide for the last 9 years. During his issues with life and his health. You see, it's 24 hours a day when you're the caregiver. Now, I am sure there was other family members and those around that provided support and help. But to be there that time, and just like he would have done for you, you did for him. To his children, Kayla and Rebecca, he invested in you. He treasured you. He valued you. To his siblings, he loved you. He valued you. He valued your opinion and your thoughts. And I'm sure there was a rowdy wrestling match every once in a while, probably. But that's kind of healthy sometimes. And Brenda, I know your heart is heavy today. You carried him for a long period of time. And I know your heart is heavy, but Isaiah 46:4 gives me comfort because it says this. And even to your age or your old age, I am he. And even I will carry you, is what the Bible tells us. That even as God is with us, he will be with us, carrying us. Brenda and your family, you carried him. And today I want to remind the family today that God carries those who have spent themselves caring for others. And when you use the word spent, that's with emphasis. But it's with love and generosity and care. And so today I also encourage you to not stop doing the things that Larry loved. Keep having family get-togethers. Keep having some campfires. Keep having some discussions as the same as you would as if he was here. Because in my mind and in my relationship with people who I have lost, many family members, just like everyone else around us, is the value of his life is now entwined in mine. Who he was, I now carry. His memories, his personality, who he was, the grave cannot take that away from me. It's separation of life, absolutely. And I can't replace that. But the grave cannot take my memory away, can't take a picture away, and it cannot take the value that he had for me to carry it. So I encourage you to treasure his voice, as it's a memory not lost. I challenge you to carry his song, that country song that comes on the radio and plays, you go, that's it, that's the reminder. That's the reminder of who he was. His passion to help others. His story, relate his story, and let that story become a part of you. And yes, grandchildren, wherever you may be, I see some here, I'm sure. His correction. Sometimes correction is good for us. Pappy's not always wrong, as long as Pappy has a popsicle in his hand. No is acceptable. But also treasure his love, his memories, and his life. It is a life not lost, but gained eternally. That's the blessings of who God is. Anybody thankful for a blessed life and a strong life today? This morning, as part of the service, the family will be conducting a viewing before the casket is closed and the flag presentation is going to be provided by the Rural Fire Department. We would now invite the family and friends to view and pay respect to Larry, to his family as they come this morning, to speak for a moment together. As you come this morning, they're going to dismiss you, or not, we're not dismissed, we're not done, but we want to invite everyone to come and pay their last respects to the family, and then the family will spend some time.
Hey guys, I think they're playing one more song.